Hello everyone and welcome to another reaction video. You kinda enjoyed my reaction to the drama, so we're gonna react to, honestly, one of my favourite content creators and honestly one of my good friends, Shinchi42. Check out his link in the description for his full video, but we're gonna go and look at his CaVALARY artifacts and basically see what he's talking about and see what he thinks is good and maybe see what I disagree with. So with all that said, stay tuned for more. Hello, so yes, we're gonna go into, basically I'm gonna critique this Mr. Shinchi's CaVALARY. Yeah, we're gonna go into his CaVALARY artifacts. We're gonna see if he knows what he's talking about or not. Obviously, it's really good because the best thing about this is I get to hear someone else's voice, you know, someone else's opinion, and I get to obviously see if my opinion is the same as theirs or if it's different, and maybe you guys find that interesting. If you do, hopefully maybe in the future me and Shinchi might do a collab again with maybe a different type of artifact, maybe for archers or mages for example, and work together on it. So let's see what he says. Right, we've got a load of artifacts here that he's going to go over,
so I can learn from you as you learn from me as well. So
he's got
today
some
we're
of
going
the
to look at
best
all
artifacts.
the CaVALARY artifacts.
He goes over all of them in
like
the starting. So in the starting
Springblades,
section, just to let you guys know, he's going to go over the ones he's going to cover. So if we go here, these are all the CaVALARY artifacts, right? So straight away, if we go
first thing that we're going to do is we're going to put this Wolf Woman Hailer on B rank. Now,
okay, so he's put Wolf Woman of Halo on B. That's very interesting.
I want
to see.
mention something within that artifact. That is actually a decent artifact, but the skills doesn't provide really a lot of usage within the game. Not many players use the Wolf Woman Hailer. Although what I can see the benefit of this, if you are rallying as a whale and you are going to be using this Wolf Woman Hailer, you don't need to skill it up. You just need to increase the level and star, and you're going to get a lot of HP, which is a good stat to increase and boost within the game for whenever you're...
It's actually a really good point. So yeah, so if you, this is one thing with the Wolf Woman of Halo. I actually agree with everything you said here. The one thing where the Wolf Woman of Halo does shine is the actual wormhole ability, especially when you get to use flying cavalry, go in, sweep down instantly, you know, teleport onto someone. Next minute, skill damage and blink instantly away. It's a really quick hit and miss, you know, maneuver from enemies. So I actually agree with what he says, and I like the fact that the HP increase for the CaVALARY rally is a really good budget way of working this. I do like to see that.
Blade?
So we've got Solan's
right
Blade.
Blade. We're gonna put it as an A.
And that's interesting. I actually have this at S tier. I think Solan's Blade's an S tier CaVALARY artifact. Because of the AoE. The AoE was fixed. Originally it only says 3, but this hits 5 enemies, right? So this hits 5 enemies, a massive amount of enemies that it hits, a big amount of burst AoE. You also gain some attacks. So let's see what he says, right? Because the thing is, in my eyes, you're either a Soland boy or a Kingslayer boy. So you're either one or the other. So let's see.
Blade is really nice. I like this. You know, I use it a lot. So the Solan's Blade is really cool. This is the Kingslayer, but take a look into the Solan's Blade. This one, it has cavalry attack, though it has the ability to increase the marching speed in here, which is something that is really good as well. But
yeah, like these two stats, guys, are insane. The fact that you boost your attack by such a high percentage and the march speed, it allows you, again, with cavalry or flying cavalry units that have this equipped, to basically melt through your opponents and get there really quickly, right? So I actually think this is a very, very good weapon. I like, he agrees basically. He says the same. I would put this S tier. Personally, I'd put this as one of the 3, as I call them, the 3 holy trinity of artifacts.
But,
so,
you know, with
what else he says.
Instead, it's not providing 2 attack buff, so therefore we're just ranking it up to A tier. Now, it has a decent and good skill in here as well, which is pretty high, and you get some haste. So this allows you to move from point A to point B. For me, this is not an S tier. So this is just more of a tier that I use. Although I love using it, but it's not an S tier. Now let's move into this one, the mobility. I'm also going to add this one over into the B
I'm
rank.
gonna skip this. We agree. We both agree. I can tell you exactly what he
So
says.
let's take a look into this
It's
one.
good in its
This
very
Springbird
situational.
feather, it gives you some marching speed.
It's just really good march speed. So if you're trying to, what's good about this Springbird? I'll tell you my opinion. We'll just skip through Shinji's. Maybe we can hear his. You know, if you watch the video of Shinji, you'll be able to see what he's saying about it. But the reason I think it's only B, and the really good scenario where you can use it, or the two, is either in a raid just to get people into position easier, or if you are a full cavalry, you know, 5-man cavalry match, and you have all the talents set up correctly, like the Visage interview did say to you guys, you know, you want all that march speed all the same, so everything moves the same, makes a lot of your fighting easier. Having one of those matches with this Springbird's feather allows them then basically to get a quick steroid to get in your fight even quicker. So you can technically dedicate one of them if you don't have a really good, you know, 4th artifact. This is a really good valid choice, you know, for you to put. So that's the one thing we're going to put. We're going to skip here. We're going to actually see where we put some of these artifacts here, because we've got a few, and I actually agree with so far a lot of his list here. Fang of Ashakari is one of the most powerful things I've ever seen in the game. It's actually a really, really powerful artifact, and very, very deserving of A. Very good. Like, I really like this artifact. The reason why it gives you a bunch of defensive stats, and the really cool thing about it is you can, if you're a cavalry player, you can technically run into people, drop it down, and get out really easily. And by dropping it down once you've got it, you do so much AoE, and you're basically not having to stay there, because it's a lingering effect. So I do agree with that A statement. It's a very good artifact indeed. The C is the garrison artifact. Agree with that, because the thing is with the garrison artifacts, guys, you're not really going to use this unless obviously you're the Kraken or the whale of your server. Obviously, if you're the whale of your server, you know you need to have the rally artifact, and you're going to need it maxed out. Otherwise, you're going to lose to anyone else who has the garrison artifact, but obviously maxed out. So that's just the current meta. I wouldn't, you know, bat an eyelid over it just because there's only two, right? There's only two garrison, well, one garrison, one and one rally artifact, right? So until there might be, you know, 3 garrison artifacts, 3 rally artifacts, then they might have their own sort of meta and ranking, right? So let's see what we're going to go over. So we have Storm Arrows, I think, coming up here. And this is one of my favorite ones. Let's see where it says Storm Arrows.
A better investment within the game. Now, the Storm Arrow, I'm going to put the Storm Arrow into the B rank.
Man, you're straight cocking. You're capping, dude. I love it. No, I'm joking, Shinji. I'm joking. No, he knows why I really like this artifact. And this is honestly in my holy trinity. So my holy trinity so far is the Storm Arrows, the Springblades, and the Soulhand Blade. I think all 3 of them are the best 3 in their own category. The reason why is that all of the easiest basic artifacts to get, you can get them quite easily. Kingslayer is a lot harder to get, and it costs, especially for free-to-players, then don't really get that much access to it unless they're really spending the gems on it. But some people would argue swap those gems for heroes. So the reason why I actually think the Storm Arrows, the more used it now, is an S tier artifact, and the Wolfwoman Halo is probably still B, is because you have this blink that you can basically blink in front of enemies. You can stop them from retreating by using the intercept mechanic. You also can blink towards an enemy before you're going to hit them, meaning you get that massive damage increase as well. I'm not going to lie, it just offers you some really good stats, right? You get flat double cavalry attack, so you get so much damage increase for having this. It is all about killing your units, well, killing the enemy unit. So I actually really like this. I think this is probably an S tier artifact for the mobility you have from it, the fact that you can blink over rivers, you can blink over terrain that you normally wouldn't be able to. So when flying units think they're away, you can just chase them, and they don't realize it, you know. So it is a really good artifact. I think this is being used a lot, and a lot of people will probably agree with me here. So I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments so far. on
is
it.
that, you know, it does give you CAV's attack and Legion attack, but its main purpose is just to blink. So it gets you from point A
Blink's
to point
so
B. You
powerful.
can either intercept somebody in here. It can also provide a pivotal role, but it is not something that many players will be using in the battlefield.
The problem with, do you know what I will say the problem with Storm Arrows is? The problem with Storm Arrows is, honestly, it's a very high skill cap artifact, meaning anyone can use it, anyone can get the basic out of it, and you're going to have fun. But it's those players that understand how it's used, where you can blink over marchers to stop them from retreating, or blinking into a very dangerous position. Like, the way the blink basically allows you to position your cavalry is a super scary threat against other players. So, it is a very, very different topic. Obviously, you can see my view on it compared to Shinji's here.
Only select situations that you're going to be using the Storm Arrow, although it's a good artifact, but it's a situational based artifact. Now, the Visage of Sanctus, I'm going to put this into A rank in here.
So I have not personally used the Visage of Sanctus yet. I've not seen it used on Cavalry either, but he's got it on A tier, so I'm guessing the flying cavalry units are going to go. So I'm going to hear his explanation, and then maybe I might just agree with it, because it might be something that just makes sense, right?
This is going to be for your flying unit, so maybe for your flying CAVs.
Yeah.
Not necessarily that I will use this, but it can be used by other players. I put this in A rank because it gives you some defense and attack bonus, and it allows you to be a bit more tanky and get that shield. I haven't personally used this yet, but this is something that you guys can consider.
The reason I like it is the shield, but the damage per stack. So especially if you've got other players using the Visage of Sanctus, you can all kind of work together and get this really broken damage per stack effect going on each other. So I do like that aspect of it. So, and I agree with him. If he's not used it much, but he still rates it A tier, it must be good in its own right. I can imagine this, especially for mages, right? The Flying Celestial Mage would be really powerful, but we're talking about cavalry here.
Maybe this artifact.
So let's go in. We've got the Garrison artifact up next, which we're not going to talk about. I've already mentioned the Garrison artifact here. So let's see what the next artifact is for him.
We're getting to the juicy part in here. We're going to go for the S rank. So I'm going to put a Kingslayer in here onto the S rank.
Okay.
One of the biggest reasons why Kingslayer is an S rank, because this is something that T4 can definitely use to wreck T5. I was speaking to Danny, which is our leader, and he gave me this idea, which kind of, you know, supported. I was actually going to rank it as A, but he gave me this argument, which is really good. This Kingslayer gives you cavalry attack and legion attack, which is really good. But the key factor in here is that whenever the target, right, is fewer than 10%. So if this is T5 and they're fewer than 10%, you know, T5 10% units is stronger still than T4. So you can immediately...
I get what you're saying, execute, right? But the problem is, this is what I've seen with the Royal Punishment. This is why I actually would swap them over. So I have Solan's Blade higher than the Royal Punishment, because Solan's Blade just does more damage. The Royal Punishment, yes, you get the execute, and I agree with the execute. That's why I have it in the A tier. But I think it's so hard to hit. Like, I've seen so many people, live stream after live stream after live stream, swing this Kingslayer when they see the health bar in the red thinking it's going to execute, and it just doesn't execute them because they aren't at 10%. 10% is very, very small, guys. Like, the health bar is tiny for 10%. So obviously, yes, he's right. 10% of T5 is going to be stronger than maybe 20% of a T4 march, but it's still, you know, gauging that march. There's no good, you know, indicator where you can see someone's in execute range or anything like that. So I put it in A tier because I think overall it does a nice amount of damage. It does a good amount of, you know, ability to maybe execute someone. But I think, it's a super high skill ceiling to get, because, like, hitting 10% or getting to the point where you know what 10% feels like is so different to just having a understanding that I know I deal like 3,800 damage, for example, right? It's a big, big, big difference. So, we'll soon see. You know, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Like I said, I'd put the Kingslayer in A and Solan's in S because of the stats as well. I just think Solan's blade has better stats too that you actually care about with your cavalry.
He
So
just swiped them.
I understand Shinji's leader. Props to you, mate, man. I understand your point of view, but
And
for me,
killed
that's
them, which
not a
is
reason
a
why it's an
huge,
S tier. That's the reason why it's an
impact
A tier.
within the
It's a
battlefield.
restriction.
So this is one
that's
of the reasons why,
you know, harder. Maybe if it was something like 15%, it might be easier because at 15% you can actually judge it, right? But at 10%, you honestly, I see so many people probably hit people at 12, 13, 11%. They're not hitting at 10, so you don't really see this happen. Normally, I would see Kingslayer getting abused by T5 cavalry players because they have so much damage that they can sometimes at 50% health, woof, and just cleave out an entire cavalry march. So let's see what the other S tier is because I know what it's going to be here, and I agree with this. This is the this is nasty.
and
Let's see what
one
he
of the
says.
biggest impact on this one is because the spring blade is pretty good.
This Shinji saying Springblades is pretty good is probably an understatement. This thing is absolutely absurd. This is basically out of every artifact in Cavalry's, you know, arsenal, this is doing the most damage you can possibly do. And you're doing all this damage without having to worry about the feedback, right? Because the way it works when you're watching that top skill,
it has a passive.
It's a boomerang. You fling it out, it does a bunch of damage, and it comes back. But every time you fling it out, it hits up to 3 enemies. Each enemy can take 3,000 damage or more. Then it ticks for over 1,000 damage per tick. And then it comes back and does another 3k. Guys, it's absurd. The amount of damage Springblades does is probably unrivaled to any other artifact in this game. It is absolutely obscene how much this does in an AoE cone. So
buff
I agree.
When your
in my eyes, I'm not gonna lie, I think Springblades is probably in the top 3.
For 15 seconds,
top 3
5
artifacts.
seconds. And this is a really good combination for Emrys because Emrys does gain passion with his skill. So that is a good synergy. Imagine if you use this for battlefield, just open field, and then also when you're using this for rally, you're
just
getting
so good.
a lot of, you know, attack damage.
And that's a really good point. I like his point
increase.
there. So I don't know if you guys understood what he was saying there, but when you're using someone like Emrys with Springblades, it's even better because you want that rage accumulation as fast as you can so you can get this artifact off as soon as possible, because as soon as possible means the higher troop count, the more damage, right? So I love the fact that we're seeing this
Legion
from
attack
him.
increase. So that's very important to note, right? You can use this better in rallies as well, and also in garrisoning. So this is an all-around artifact that I can tell you.
Yeah, it's so good. It's just so good in
remember,
every
this
case. I
passive
think that's
skill
all of
is
them. So
really-
let's see.
guys agree or disagree?
Let's see.
This is our official.
This is his official cavalry one. So do you know what? I actually like the list. The only thing I would be changing, like I said, the Kingslayer would go down to A tier. I'd have the Solan's Blade in S tier. And I would also put the Storm Arrows in S tier. I think there's a holy trinity. I think there's 3 artifacts that are really good for different reasons. This does the most amount of damage in the game for that cavalry. Solan does a really insane amount of AoE, which is more than the Kingslayer, and it gives you more relevant stats in the attack and march speed, which you really, really need, as well as the just the abusive outright outplays that you can do with the Storm Arrows. I think as well, Storm Arrows for me, definitely S tier. And I would love to hear, you know, your guys' thoughts, like Shinji's. Maybe Shinji might react or make a TikTok of this video, who knows. But if you're wondering, we have had his blessing just to react to the video. So we're not just doing this on our own, we obviously ask permission. So if you guys want to check out Shinji42's channel, obviously I will put his link in the title. You can just click it and it'll take you over there. And his video will be in the info card, which you might have seen towards the early stage of the video. So I hope you've enjoyed today's reaction video and additional video to the channel. I hope you've enjoyed it. Stay safe, stay sneaky, guys, and remember, smash that like, comment and subscribe for more daily Call of Dragons content.